Hi and welcome back to my shed. I currently have another project under construction, but due to issues beyond my control, it's taking quite some time to complete. This video is a very small part of that process and it has affected many projects. During one of my many other videos I quipped about how useless my centre finder was, prompting several viewers to ask me to make a video on how I would put it right. This is the tool. I've covered the company name because they are only the importers of this product. They only buy and sell stuff, they don't test it. To show you the problem I've got with this tool, I've got two identical bits of stainless steel skip fodder, and I'll show you a before and an after. The etching on the top is meaningless and won't affect what I'm attempting to show you. By the way, I apologise about all the background glare. Firstly, I blued these two pieces and then put one aside for later. When I was gainfully employed, what seemed like a million years ago, typically layout lines, or marking outlines as I call them, should have an accuracy of better than 0.25mm or 10 thou. If a machine operator ruined a workpiece, it was always only their fault, not the fault of the person doing the marking out, because marking out was only deemed as a guide only. Anyway, before I went any further, I firstly checked that my scribe was nice and sharp. I put a very small punch mark close to the edge of my sample piece. It provided me with a register to lay out two opposing lines to determine what the error in the tool was. Resting the centre finding tool against the register, I scribed my first line. After rotating the test piece 180 degrees, I set the scribe in the same register, then rested the centre finder against it to scribe one more line to complete my second mark. A quick check with the rule indicated that the error is approximately 2mm. That's well outside the limit that I require. This finder is made of two components glued together somehow, one on top of the other. I assume that the two parts were jig assembled and then laser etched before dispatch. I decided that I'm not going to try and make this tool super accurate. I haven't got the right equipment for this. But I felt that I had enough equipment to get it good enough. So now I've got to decide how to go about finding two reference faces. A friend recently gave me this surface plate and I intend to make good use of it. I will send it for calibration, but not just yet. The top surface looks a bit untidy, and indeed it is, but it is a lot flatter than my homemade surface plate. Apologies again because most of the dial gauge shots are blanked out by glare from the window. First things first, clean up all the surfaces using a precision stone. This is to prevent scratching the surface plate and to reduce any unnecessary errors. The best thing I've got for checking a right angle from a surface plate is a certified Moore & Wright set square. It's worth noting that I occasionally turn my desk lamp on and off in an attempt to get the best view for the camera. I think that was a big fail. It's not visible on the camera, but there was a light source passing between the finder and the set square, indicating that that face wasn't suitable for what I wanted. This edge, however, was just right. The best way to prove this is to stand the finder on its edge and check the bottom face against the same square. And as you can see, spot on. The fact that the indicator is showing variation on this top face proves that one or both faces are out of true with the scribing edge of the blade on this finder. Using the dial gauge against the blade edge, it showed that there was an angular error there as well. Putting the set square on the inside of the finder revealed that the inside edge also had a very small error. However, this error was well inside the level of accuracy that I was trying to get out of this tool. I haven't got a sign bar, not yet, but I do have a 5-inch sign plate. The stop plate on my sign plate is quite small, so I swapped it out for a bigger one, and this one was also too small. To combat the problem of having the workpiece slide off, I rotated the stop plate and locked it down into place. I stacked a bunch of gauge blocks 3.5355 inches high under the sign plate roller to give me a face angle of 45 degrees. Although you can't see it, the inside face has very little error relative to the previously checked good edge, leaving me to the assumption that the simplest course of action was to reset the blade angle by removing material from it. Right from the start I knew that I would have to remove some material from the blade because on closer visual inspection you could actually see the error. I also took this opportunity to recheck a 45-degree guide plate that I made quite some episodes ago, and it's still as good as ever. Back to the job in hand. The question would be, why spend so much time with dial gauges, sign bars in the first place if you can see what the problem is? Well, I need to find two datum faces to enable me to set the finder up in the milling machine. And I also need to know how much to take off instead of piecemealing the rectification. I used the very near, my nickname if you like for the vernier, to establish the overall error to be 2 mm. Because this error was across the whole diameter of the test piece meant that the error had to be half this at 1 mm. And because whatever is actually taken off the blade doubles the effect, that indicates that the total amount of material that needs to be removed from the blade is in fact 0.5 mm. Inserting one T-nut and two T-slot guides enabled me to make the setup process a very simple one. It only took one clamp to hold the material in place. After all, I was only tickling it. I used a cigarette paper to establish the depth of cut across the main body. Then I quickly measured across the blade to get a size. It's worth mentioning at this point that I put a tiny mark on the blade where the outer edge of the test piece was, at the point on the blade that was 0.5 mm out of shape. As you can imagine, my first cut was only a gauge cut to get the parallel measurement in order to complete the operation. During the milling operation, I lowered the cutter just before I cleared the main body to ensure a good clean cut along the blade face. I also shoved a wooden wedge under the unsupported end of the finder just to stop any possible vibration, which I'm sure there would have been. This cut was the final one, and it was at 0.23mm, almost 10 thou. Alright, just over 9 thou. Right, all I needed to do now was to deburr it and then go and give it a whiz. That's all for now. Thanks for watching. Bye.